My name is Joaquin Thompson, Sr. Like millions of Americans, I struggled financially for many years because I was never taught the basics of personal finance. Today, I'm a financial literacy expert, author, and speaker that teaches students and adults the basic components of financial literacy. My goal is to educate, motivate, and elevate people to master the basics of personal finance. I show students and adults how to go from struggling to creating a secure financial future for generations to come. Welcome to the Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson, Sr. So Lee, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
And I'm very impressed that you were able to take some time out your busy schedule to come and talk to us today about the importance of financial literacy, financial planning, and really tell some more about your backstory. Because as I did research about your story, I was intrigued by your background. And what I mean by that is, how did you go from Georgia Tech, like going to Georgia Tech, industrial engineering, majoring in engineering, and then pivot into the world of financial planning?
You know, my story picks up a little bit before then. So I'm a preacher's kid. Dad's a preacher, and the one thing that I was certain of was that I didn't want to become a preacher. Loved my dad, admired my dad, but I'm missing a chromosome as it relates to being in somebody's pulpit. But I thought that if I got a degree in engineering from Georgia Tech, I'd be able to find a job. Somebody would hire me. Now, as luck would have it, my freshman quarter, so about October 1986, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And that was a pivotal moment in my life, the life of my family. Now, we grew up middle class, and if you said, hey, there's middle, lower middle, upper middle, and we were kind of in that middle, lower middle. And so there wasn't money to send to school. And at that point, I thought, I've got to do something, because as a family, we're dealing with a lot right now. I started looking for a part-time job, and so that I could fill in some of those gaps, and started working at an insurance agency. I was doing some programming for insurance quotes, and things just kind of went from there. So I learned about the benefits of life insurance and disability insurance, and slowly learned about investments. And when graduation rolled around, I did the interview process like everybody else, and my roommates got hired at the GM plant in Doraville and some other places. He made an offer that from a financial perspective was comparable to what engineers were being paid back at that time. And for me, it was an easy decision. I got to stay in Atlanta, a place that I loved. I didn't have to wear a suit every day, didn't have to work in a plant, and so That's where things started. But from there, it pivoted to the broader scope of ways that I could help people. I didn't know what a certified financial planner was. I'd never heard of one.
Right, and that was because when I was doing the research on your story, I was like, did you even know what it meant to be a certified financial planner, what it took, or what the mission was?
Yeah, not at all.
Of financial planning industry.
Not at all. Absolutely stumbled into it. There was a gentleman by the name of Hector Diaz who had a practice that focused on finance, and so I started talking to Hector. Hector mentored me and began doing some research, and literally when I stumbled across the CFP designation, Certified Financial Planner, I went, that's me. I can see myself doing that for the next 40, 50 years, because you can help people in so many ways, and quite frankly, it's a lot like being an engineer. One way to think of it is having somebody that's working on your behalf to engineer your finances so that it runs better, like that nice car, and you cut it on, you hear that growl, and it pulls off, and it gets you to your destination. It's helping people to engineer their finances to get them where they want to go.
Wow. So I'm going to fast forward, because another thing that I was extremely impressed about is all the different boards and all of the different organizations that you've had the opportunity to work with. Can you share some of the organizations and some of the positions that you've held or achieved within the certified financial planning landscape?
Yeah, so, I have served in a lot of positions, and quite frankly, that goes back to my father as well. As a pastor, it's kind of like you don't have the opportunity to just sit on the pew. If you're going to be involved in an organization or a group, you've got to do something. So the first role that I played was here in the state of Georgia as the director of education, and trying to bring together younger planners into the profession. One of the things that for me was a big deal Although it's one of those things that I look at in an unfortunate manner is I was the first African American to ever serve on the National Board of Directors for the Financial Planning Association. And
Right.
you
So
know,
how important was that
it was
to be the first?
It was, if I'm candid, it was bittersweet.
Okay.
You know, because I sat there and I thought, it's 2008 and I'm the first, and that shouldn't be. Now, that having been said, I made a commitment to not be the last and, you know, reaching out and helping other folks. So that was important, but it was bittersweet. You're happy, you know, you work hard in whatever profession you have and you want to achieve things. And so, yeah, that was a good thing. But if I'm candid, it was a little bittersweet.
I mean, the thing about it, though, when you look at our community, the way we were raised, our backgrounds, being the first, I think, was very pivotal when I was doing the research because it really showed that we had moved away from just being interested in just civil rights or having, you know, accolades for just being an opportunity to be an engineer. But now you have the opportunity to, like you said, to impress and to engineer and really put together people's financial life.
Absolutely.
And I think for me, being the host of the Daily Bread radio show, I think that's something that we kind of lose sight of.
Absolutely.
The importance of having a strong financial background and also an understanding of how all of those components go together.
Absolutely.
So I look at you, and we've had plenty of conversations.
Right.
I know,
Right.
so we're not going to talk about all of the advice that you've given me, but I think that sometimes it's hard for a financial planner to, what I call, break through the mindset of someone is like, I don't really understand why would I need a financial planner?
You know, so here's the thing. There's power in planning, right? Everybody needs a financial plan. Now, this may sound funny, my next statement. Everybody needs a financial plan, but not everybody needs a financial planner. Now, how good do you want to be? You know, I was watching golf recently. Tiger Woods, he's got a coach. LeBron James, he's got a coach. Tom Brady, you got a coach. If you want to be great, you get a coach to help you achieve some things. There's a lot of things you can do looking in the mirror, so to speak, but there are some things you can't see about yourself, and you need that assistance from a coach to help you get there.
Wait a minute, time out. Are you saying that everyone, if they really feel like they want to get great at the financial planning game, as we call it, they have to have a coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
As financial planners, we have coaches.
Wow.
We have coaches.
Wow. Okay.
I have every month I have a payment to a coaching program. I want to be that good.
Wow. So that, I mean, I brought up another point. How important do you feel the investment into a financial planner, the return on investment? Because a lot of feedback that I get from people is that, you know, hey, I don't even think I have enough to have a financial planner. So why would I invest in a financial planner? Share with the audience about the ROI that you would expect from investing into a financial planner.
The ROI is, quite frankly, immeasurable in my opinion. But let's go there. One of my favorite clients, young man, impressed upon me once some years ago. We were doing some planning, and he was happy with the advice, and we started breaking down the cost. And he said, "Man, if you break it down that way, it's like a cable bill." So here's the thing: what's more important to you, your cable bill, right? Yeah, you can watch HBO and that kind of thing.
Right.
But how important is that as it compares to securing the future for your children, securing the future for your wives, leaving a legacy, being able to live the life that you want looking into the future? Now, if that's not important to you, then
Go
okay.
with the cable.
Yeah, go with the cable. Go with the cable, right? But if it's important to you and you have to make those choices,
Right. Get a planner.
get a planner.
Okay.
Get a planner.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is it's well worth the investment, and everyone should really be looking at the investment, especially when you're looking at it from a legacy standpoint.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we have to really go back and think about what's important to us. So when we profess that we want the best for our children, we want to look at not only our children, but like it says in the Bible, leave an inheritance for our children's children, then we have to make sure that we're taking the necessary steps to get a
Absolutely.
coach, to get a financial planner, somebody who's an expert in looking at those different components that impact our lives on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things I think about, here in America, I don't care what your political persuasion is, if there is a presidential election, you can guarantee one thing: tax law is going to change. I don't care if you like who got elected or not. What you need to make sure is that either you understand the rules or you hire somebody to help you with the rules. So right now, Tax Cut and Jobs Act that came in with President Trump, don't care what you think about him, that doesn't matter. But if you're here and you're trying to make a better way for yourself and your family, you need to make sure that you understand as best you can what's in there.
Lee, that was some great information that you shared with me and my audience. Do you have some time to stick around?
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll be right back with the Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson.
With me, I don't think I need an advisor or a coach to tell me exactly how to save my money and stuff, because I know how to do it. Some people who don't know how to manage their money may need someone like that. I mean, because everybody is different when it comes to their finances.
Do you think it's important to have a financial planner or a financial coach?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be really helpful, especially, for younger people who may not be working in more traditional, stable professions. For example, I'm a freelance artist. So for me, it would be really helpful. It just happens that it's difficult to afford when you're in that position.
I was brought up in a family that managed their money, and my parents endeavored that in me. So as I grew up, I knew how to manage my money as well.
I'm your host, Joaquin Thompson, and I have our special guest today, Lee Baker, certified financial planner with Apex Financial. And we're talking about the importance of having a certified financial planner. We're talking about the myths of financial planning and all of the different benefits that you have from incorporating a financial planner in your long-term financial plan. So I know we were talking about coaching and the importance of having a coach. The other question I had for you, Lee, was this. Many times individuals really don't know how young or when they should start to work with a financial planner. In your opinion, when should that process start?
That process should really start as soon as you have a situation where you get out into the world. Maybe you get your first job or you start a business. And so I've got a decent number of clients who are millennials, if you will, that are in their 20s. And, when we go to school and we're in college, nobody tells us about how do we make decisions about whether or not I should buy a car versus leasing a car. You have employee benefit sessions, but quite frankly, the people that come out, oftentimes, it sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. So you're sitting there in a session, it's just womp, 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 womp.
Right.
But that's really important because those benefits can have a significant impact on your life. And so maybe it's your first job, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a really big engagement. Maybe you work with a planner on an hourly basis, and you'd be amazed at how much information you can get, how much wisdom that can be shared with somebody in 2 to 3 hours.
Wow. And starting off young, the thing that I'm thinking about is the time horizon. Because one thing about time that I think a lot of people miss is the fact that the sooner you start and the earlier you get things in place, then you really get the advantage of taking time for things to grow, get into place, mature. Can you share with us about the time element and the importance of time?
Yeah, so the element of time, I think about a lot of things that we've learned through the years. I was recently rereading The Richest Man in Babylon, and it talks about the idea of making money, earning money, and then the money having children, and those children having children, and all of them working all the time, even when you're asleep. And so if you think about the idea that at a decent rate of interest or a decent return on your investment, it can double in 8 years. Well, if you start off when you're in your 20s, right, and then you're 30 and that money's doubled, and you're in your mid to late 30s and that money's doubled again, and you just kind of keep going, all of a sudden you're in your 50s, maybe 60s, and life's a whole lot different. The type of choices that you can make
Right.
write one of my favorite songs, and I'm not going to croon because I don't want to
Yeah,
ruin
I'm
your
gonna
show.
say we
I
don't
don't
have
want to mess
time
up your show. But some of the folk over 40 might remember Lenny Williams and the song "Cause I Love You," and it's one of those classic begging songs. But he gets to this point. Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I was gonna say, don't do it.
I ain't gonna
You was
do
like
it.
you was going there.
I was feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm being honest with you. But he gets to this point and he says, I don't know if you've ever been in love the way that I've been in love. And, one night I stayed up until TV went off. Kids don't know about TV going off. But there's an opportunity in the fact that TV no longer goes off. So just like we came from an era where TV would go off and you'd get that little dot and you'd have the Native American and the teardrop and the flag would fly. Think about the possibility 30 years from now. So if you've got a job now and you feel like, hey, if I tithe and if I save 10%, I don't have enough left, there's more hours in the day.
Yeah,
Find another opportunity, create a job.
right. Especially what we call now, because the way I look at it too is we're really in a digital economy.
Absolutely.
And you've touched on it because more people now, I'm seeing people that are influencers, people doing things on YouTube. You have people on Instagram. You have people doing different things where they're making money just by, being a product ambassador
Absolutely.
or working very closely with an entertainer. So, and even if you're not doing it on that type of scale, you still have the opportunity to create additional income more so than just your 9 to 5. So there's more hours in the day.
Absolutely.
And we talked about in the last segment about the importance of cable versus having a financial planner. So with that being said, what do you feel like are some of the largest opportunities that are being missed by people that are not working with a financial planner?
I'd say some of the largest opportunities, and I don't mean to sound trite, the biggest opportunities are missed because we don't ever take the time to sit down and think.
Ooh,
Sit down, be quiet for a minute, read a book, okay? Put yourself in an environment and let God talk to you. Because when you spend all your time running back and forth,
right.
you're in that rat wheel. You can't see the opportunities around you if you've always got your head down and it's like a millstone grinding you down. Lift your head up. Go sit out in the park. Take a walk. Spend some time with your wife. Spend some time with your children. Open your mind up. When I think about opportunities, and one of my volunteer roles, I'm president of AARP, and the population here in the United States, it's getting older, and you see the numbers of the numbers of people that are turning 70 and the numbers of people that are turning 80, and we talk about the technology. Well, what is that intersection between aging and technology? What does that mean? You take a look and say, well, we're living a lot longer than we used to live. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're living in a more healthy manner.
Right.
So what happens when you've got more people that are older, but they're living longer with problems? Well, you need folk to help them with those problems, right? So if you're looking down the road, maybe there's some opportunity in professions that help people as they get older. A valuable investment used to be a taxi medallion in New York City.
Right.
Incredibly valuable until Uber and Lyft. The value's been dropping.
Right.
So look for opportunities to disrupt things. We live here in Atlanta. It has slowly become the movie capital of the world. Look at everything that goes into making a movie or making a video. There was a lumber company, Kofor Brothers, I believe the name. They were on the verge of going under coming out of 2008. But their business saw a rebirth or resurgence because of all the lumber that gets used in making movie sets and all the productions that are going on around here in Atlanta. So, hey, maybe you do some carpentry work and you've got your 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but to get that extra money that you can't seem to save, do something else on Saturday.
So basically what you're saying is we have to really put ourselves in a position to start thinking differently.
Absolutely.
Coming from a different mindset, not
Absolutely.
so much a fixed mindset like this is all that I see, this is all that I can have, but going into more of a growth mindset where you say, how can I do this? Or how can I make more in this particular space?
Yeah.
Now, another area that I want to talk to you about just from your expertise, what is the number one myth that people really profess to having a financial planner?
The biggest myth is a combination of I don't have enough money or I can't afford it. And we touched on it earlier. You know, people will walk around and they've got an iPhone or two in their pocket. They've got cable, and it's not a function for most folk of what you can or cannot afford. It's what you choose to afford.
Wow.
So it is, in fact, a myth that most people can't afford. You know, I had the opportunity to testify in front of Congress a few weeks ago, and that issue came up from one of the Congress people, and the statement was made that, hey, the average household income in my district is $55,000 a year, and you know, there's another witness who has a practice in New York, and the minimums for that practice are $700,000. And they came around to ask me a question, and candidly, I didn't answer that question, but I answered the question I wanted to answer, which is that's not true. There are planners that work with regular folk that are school teachers,
Right.
truck drivers. You know, now, yes, there's doctors, lawyers. Again, everybody needs a plan, and there are folk that work with clients and there's no asset minimums. And so again, you have to make a choice. You've got to decide whether or not you want to be financially secure. Do you want to have freedom in your later years? You know, you see the commercials and the husband and wife are walking on the beach. I don't know if it's walking on the beach or walking through the mountains. What do you want to do? And do you want it bad enough?
And do you want it bad enough to change the things that you're doing? Because we
Right.
talked about time. So even, and another thing that I always hear too is like, it's too late for me, right? I'm in my 50s. I should have done this way earlier. I don't have enough time. What do you think about the people that feel like it's too late for them to get involved with a financial plan?
Well, my question for the person that thinks it's too late is, are you still breathing? Now, let's keep it real. If you're still breathing,
Right.
it's not too late. You've got to want to make the best of whatever you got left. None of us know when we're going to close our eyes for the last time. We don't know that.
Right.
And so we can sit here at 40, 50, we don't know. But with whatever you got left, you need to make the best of it. And I just simply can't accept, this is all there is. It can't be any better than this. No. There's something that happens to us. When we're children, we think everything's possible.
Right.
You've seen it over and over. Give a kid, you know, some toys at Christmas, and then you're amazed not at what they're doing with the toy, you're amazed at what they're doing with the box. You know, I think about my two girls, and one day my wife and I are walking down the hallway, and there were some pillows that they had stacked up and managed to build a fort, and they're crawling through, and it's got 2 different levels and that sort of thing, because their minds are open. And for whatever reason, as we get older, it's like our minds get calcified,
Right.
and we can't let anything new come in. And so I had the opportunity to study with a guy who had been a former professor out at Stanford, and had taught the founders of Google, and we talked about possibility
Wow.
and getting people to change that mindset, because it is very common to think, hey, this is all there is. Well, no, let's talk about the possibility. What do you want to do? And so Fernando had been a prisoner of war, and what he did to survive was, instead of believing or accepting the fact that he was in a cell, mentally, he lived that entire time outside that cell. And so what we're trying to do as financial planners is help you live outside that cell that says, I make $50,000, I can drive a Honda, that's all there is. I can't do those things that I want to do in my life. That's not true.
Right.
You got to
Right.
open your mind to the possibility.
And I agree, because I mean, for me, I think it really goes back to one of the points that you just made. It's really about imagination. And as we see people getting older, or not even really getting older, because 50 is like what, the new 30?
Something like that.
Or the new 20. I'm gonna say the new 20.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, 'cause I'm 50 already. So yeah, 50
So
is
I'm
the
already
20.
50, so 50 is the new 20.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm seeing is that a lot of times people just stop dreaming, stop really imagining, like, how I'm 50, it hasn't happened by now, it's not going to happen. But I had the pleasure of having Wally Amos on one of my shows this year.
Absolutely.
And this is a man that's 82 years old.
Looks
and
good.
at 82 years old, looks good, But his mind, he's saying to me, at 82, I'm going to start my last cookie company. And when he said that to me, and I'm saying, I'm 52 and you're 82, when you sit across from somebody like that, that takes all of the excuses off the table. So I really just think it's about imagination and what we think and what we want to do and how we want to do it and what we're going to, the time that we're going to take to plan how we're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Now, I know we're going to, we're really getting kind of short on time, but I wanted to make sure that I allowed you the opportunity to let people know how can they get in contact with you.
The easiest way for people to get in contact with us is to go to the website. It's www.apexfinancial.com. There you can link most social media. We got a new social media marketing intern, and so she's teaching me about Instagram and those things. So if you are on the gram, go to apex.financial on the gram. You'll find us there.
Okay.
We're growing, and we're YouTube, you name it. So we're happy to be out there, work with people, and try to do things that you're trying to do. This is a tremendous platform you have. And when we talk about the unwillingness, if you will, to let yourself be boxed in, you're a testimony to that.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that would say, nah, I can't do a TV show. Yeah. You never heard of Oprah?
Well, you ain't talking to me.
No, I ain't talking to you. I ain't talking to you.
Well, Lee, I want to definitely thank you for taking the time out to come on our show. It's been a pleasure. I think you've enlightened not only me, but my audience as well, and sharing all of that wealth of information with us from a certified financial planner standpoint. It's really my hope that all of the listening audience will reach out to you to get some more information about the importance of planning and understanding that the importance of having a coach in their financial lives. I want our audience to really stay tuned for our upcoming episodes as we continue to explore the different areas of personal finance. And remember that our show's motto is to educate, motivate, and elevate. We'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson.
If not, here's what to do. I promise you won't be misled if you just tune in to The Daily Bread. Daily Bread, Daily Bread. You have all the tools you need to help you to succeed. Just take heed. Listen to Joaquin. The boy graduated from college, dropping so much knowledge. This is what we do, and we are here to educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life. Educate, motivate, elevate. Yeah. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life.